This dialogue is part of my own journey inward. May it point you back to what is always here, is enough. Introduction. We like to believe we are in control, that we make our own decisions, form original ideas, and steer the course of our lives through the power of our will. But what if this isn't entirely true? What if the very thoughts we rely on to exercise free will are not our own creations? This article explores two key concepts, free will and thought. We'll define them, pull from deep wells of ancient spiritual wisdom and modern neuroscience, and challenge the commonly held assumption that we are the masters of our minds. Through the voices of Tehuti, Thoth, Ramana Maharshi, Deepak Chopra, Sadhguru, and Hermetic principles, we will examine the startling conclusion: you don't control your thoughts, and therefore, your free will isn't what you think it is. Part I. What is free will? Free will is commonly defined as the ability to choose between different possible courses of action unimpeded. It suggests that we are the originators of our actions and that these actions stem from our own conscious volition. However, modern neuroscience tells another story. Experiments by Benjamin Libet and others have shown that the brain initiates decisions milliseconds before we become consciously aware of them. In other words, the action begins before the you decides. From the Hermetic tradition, particularly the teachings of Tehuti, Thoth, and the Kybalion, we find a similar theme. The principle of cause and effect states that nothing escapes the universal chain of causation. Our so-called choices are reactions set in motion by preceding causes, extending beyond the realm of our personal awareness. Hermeticism recognizes that all is mind, and what we think of as free will is influenced by universal laws. Man, like all else, is merely an instrument through which the law operates. He is not the doer. The Kybalion if free will means independent authorship of choice, ancient wisdom and modern science both challenge this assumption. Part 2. What is thought? We assume that thoughts are produced by us, that we actively create them. But if you stop and observe closely, thoughts arise without your command. They appear, one after another, like waves on an ocean. Where do they come from? Are you thinking, or are you simply aware of thinking? Ramana Maharshi, the great Advaita sage, taught that we do not generate thoughts. Instead, he emphasized the practice of self-inquiry to observe the nature of thought and discover its source. His famous instruction was to ask, "Who am I?" When this question is traced deeply, it reveals that the thinker of thoughts is itself just another thought, a mental construct, not the self. The mind is only a bundle of thoughts. The thoughts arise because there is the thinker. The thinker is the ego, which again is a thought. The ego, therefore, is not separate from thought. Ramana Maharshi, Sadhguru, a contemporary mystic, echoes this insight. He describes thought as an accumulation of memory. What you call thinking is a recycling of past data, not original creation. From this perspective, thinking is a mechanical process, not an act of free will. You don't have to control your mind. If you stop identifying with it, it will quieten by itself. Sadhguru Deepak Chopra expands this view by framing thought as a ripple in the field of universal consciousness. The personal ego doesn't think. Rather, thoughts bubble up from a vast field of awareness that connects everything. You are not the author, you are the witness. What we call thought is just an activity of consciousness. It is not who we are. Deepak Chopra, Part 3, where free will and thought meet. This leads us to the unavoidable conclusion. If you don't control your thoughts, then what are you actually choosing? Thoughts arise. The mind reacts. The body responds. All within a flow that you observe but do not command. Here, a crucial distinction must be made. We do not have free will in the sense of controlling thought, but we do have the freedom to witness. If this resonance stirred something still and true within you, share the information with your family and friends. Gently tap, like, and subscribe to return again, not as a seeker, but as the silence itself.